Stuart, with such a poor record against Celtic, how do you approach this game? Do you take a wee leaf out of a John McGlynn book, or do you look to maybe what Brendan did against Atalanta?
I think you say poor record. Probably when you look at the calibre of opposition and the gulf at times between both clubs, I would say that certainly in my time, in my tenure, that it's been incredibly competitive. We look at, we managed to pick up a couple of draws at Celtic Park in the last two visits, and I think we were done here last season in really competitive games where we created a number of chances and we were well in the mix, and I think it was both games injury time goals were our undoing. So I probably look at that more than, I don't know how many games you're going back, Peter, but I would imagine that the result, the record doesn't look great as such. But I just look at those sort of, what has it been in my time, 4 games, and you look at it and you say it's been pretty competitive. It has been close. We've let Celtic know that they're in a game of football. That doesn't guarantee that that's what that's going to be this week, but I just think that there has to be a balance to what you do. You have to carry a threat, there's no doubt about that. We all speak about it at times, being starved with the ball. I've seen something with I think it was Tannadice years ago about how you actually prepare for one of these games, and he spoke an awful lot about playing against Man City, and he spoke about why would you train with the ball for sort of 80% of your session. At times you have to prepare without it because it makes it realistic, as much as we would like that number to be closer. But I think that you have to have, the first place you have to start is have that defensive stability, which I think that we've had a lot of against Celtic. You referenced the European game the other night. I thought they were fantastic in that front. I thought Celtic were excellent playing against, in my opinion, one of Europe's top sides. And I thought you saw a completely different side to them. I envisaged that the game will look and feel a wee bit different come Sunday. But you know that they've got threats from every area of the pitch. We need to prepare for that. But I stress it again, I have to try and make sure that the players have that confidence and belief that when we have our spells on the ball, when we attack their half of the pitch, that we do it with a structure, we do it with a plan, but most importantly we do it with a confidence.
Have you found yourself working more this week on the strikers to try and find that golden touch, because fine margins can decide a game?
Well, I will obviously not give you everything, but I can tell you that we've worked exactly the same that we have done in the last 4 games preparing to play against Celtic. And the reason why I think you can do that is they are so definitive in how they play. I speak about the predictability or the unpredictability of what you face sometimes, and it's not been disrespectful. Some weeks that we'll not quite understand 100% whether it's going to be wholesale changes for a team, whether they're going to slightly alter and change their style of play. But I think over the last number of years, even through 2 different managers, with Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers, you understand how Celtic are going to play. That doesn't make it easy. That doesn't mean to say that we know every bit about it and that we can execute our game plan. It's just that you understand that they want to dominate the ball. You understand they've got an unbelievable threat in the wide area. You understand that they control the ball in the middle of the pitch, especially through the likes of Callum McGregor, and you understand that they've got real potency in their attack. And I think the one side that we really seen from Celtic the other night there was those defensive qualities, not just from the back line, not just the goalkeeper and the centre backs defending their box, but as a team, how resolute they were, the threat that they still carried, the energy I think that they have in their team is a joy to watch at times. So I'm perfectly aware of all these factors, but again I'll reference back to it that I prepare this week in a very similar fashion as to what I have done facing them 4 times previously with Motherwell.
Psychologically, you trying to get into your strikers' heads because you need them to start scoring? Yeah,
listen, we've had a couple of goals from our strikers. I sat and I faced this question from a lot of people last season when we lost Kevin Van Veen at the start of last season. How are you going to rectify that? And I'll reference back to the fact that we were 3rd top goal scorers in the division. And what it's been for me all along has been trying to find a balance, not just in our goal scoring, but our defensive record, in my opinion, wasn't good enough. So we have to try and find a balance there. You can see that we've got a number of options zones at the top end of the pitch, so getting the correct combinations. But again, I'll go back to the confidence aspect of that, trying to put strikers into good positions where they can capitalise on them. And I didn't think we'd done that well enough last Saturday against Dundee. So yeah, part of the working week this week is to try and dress up some of those situations and just trying to build confidence. It doesn't become a finger pointing exercise. I think we've got good quality at the top end of the pitch, and I believe that we can do something similar to what we did last season in terms of our goal scoring, spreading that throughout our team. Set plays have been good for us this season. We want to pitch in for our strikers, our midfield players, but as I say, we faced their questions before and we come up with answers, and I believe we can do it again this season.
Sure, can you have a go against Celtic?
Yeah, I believe you can have a go. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to, as a manager, to pick up some results against Celtic, and there's different ways of doing it. But it's not just this idea of looking at one cup game and saying, we come out and we just have a go, and everybody thinks that that's just how it needs to be done and that's how it will be done every single week. I don't necessarily agree with that. You can have a go in stages of the game. You're going to have to play out certain moments. A game of football against Celtic, the reason I say that is that I firmly believe that a team with Celtic's quality, ideally they want us to be as open and as expansive as we possibly can be, and they trust their quality, and they trust the multi-million pound players that they have and the international players that they have to potentially outplay us in those 1-to-1 situations, 1v1 situations. So we have to try and ward against that at times. But I think, again, if you want to cast your mind back, there have been several occasions in my time where we've properly had a go and we've come out and tried to score goals and try to be as offensive as we can against teams such as Celtic. So it's getting a balance, but it's not just for 90 minutes, it's getting a balance through 10-15 minute spells of the game, and trying to ensure that we can maximise those opportunities that we have to attack them. But I think it becomes incredibly naive to sit and say that you're just going to play your most attacking team for 90 minutes and you're just going to come out and come after Celtic. You try doing that over 36, 38 games a season and have a look at what the outcome will be.
Yeah, any players coming back?
We're pretty much where we were. We should have Tom Sparrow back on the grass today. He missed out. It was a sort of 7-10 day injury last week. It was a bit unfortunate. He's been playing really well when he's come off the bench and training really well, and then out with that, I think you've seen the likes of Apostolos coming off the park. That was more a virus than it was anything else. So yeah, we're pretty much as we were last week, and on top of that, just the long termers are all moving along pretty well.
How exciting a week? I know obviously we're focusing on the game on Sunday, but just overall the 3 games coming, how exciting a week is this for the football club?
Great test for us. It's a great test for us, but we take the first one and it's individual merit. You know, this idea of looking towards the midweek game or the semi-final a few days after that, it's not really something that's in our mind. Full focus is on Celtic and trying to get a result on Sunday and ultimately try to get a better performance than what we had on Saturday. I think that's where I start. We want to get a better performance. We want to have more energy into our performance than what we had on Saturday. But no, it has to be an exciting week for the football club. We're going to put our wits against some of the top teams, some of the top players over the next 8 or 9 days, and we have to be looking forward to it. And I think that ultimately what you'll do is you'll find out a little bit more about yourself come the end of next week. But there's some proper games in there, and that's why we're involved. That's why we want to play. I always speak about the challenges as opposed to getting into games of football and predicting and knowing that you're going to be comfortably better than the opposition. I always look at it the opposite way. I think for us here at Motherwell to improve, we have to be facing the 3 tests that we've got coming in the next week or so. And I think by doing that, as I say, we'll learn more about our younger players. We'll learn more about the guys that have just come into the football club, and some of the existing guys as well. And just overall, we'll start to find out exactly where we are. We think we've had a good start to the season, but again, this starts to ramp up that challenge over the next period.
You spoke a bit about squad depth. Is it sort of weeks like this when you've got 2 games that are going to be physically demanding, as well as the midweek game at away to Dundee United, as well as weeks like this that you see what you really have at your squad and you maybe do need to dig into your rotation a wee bit?
Potentially, yeah, potentially. I spoke about it this morning. I was at Ibrox last night watching the European game and had a conversation just before the game started with Archie Knox, just happened to be sitting in front of me, and when you speak to guys like Archie Knox, and or when he speaks I should say, you often listen. There was a wee bit of debate with us all surrounding the team selection from Stoya Bucharest and how they put more importance into another game, maybe make some changes to their team. I'll be honest, I'm not well enough qualified with their players to comment too much on that, but I think it was that mentality and always the wee bit of words of wisdom, and something that I agree with is that as each game comes, you want to try and pick your best team and you want to go and try and win the game. It's as simple as that. If we start focusing on something that's coming a week later or 3 or 4 days later, that day might never come. You know, it's your job to make sure that you put the best team in the pitch, and it's always good to speak to somebody like Archie, but I have to tell you that I agree wholeheartedly with what he was saying last night.
And yet Sir Alex Ferguson used to say to Gary Neville, this game doesn't really suit you, I'm sitting you out.
We've all used that one, Peter, just to try and get a tough situation. Yeah, but it was funny. I think just when you see someone with that experience and that success and where he's been and what he's done, to look at that baffled look in his face when somebody's talking about resting players in a European tie was quite amusing. But I'm maybe need to keep that one up my sleeve, Peter.
Yeah.